Hello everyone, welcome back to A4Q Testing Summit, broadcasting live from Zürich. It is my privilege to introduce two outstanding speakers who have played key roles in the world of IT quality engineering. It is Rik Marsalis and Gitte Ottersen. They were part of the team behind the TMAP renewal, which led to the creation of the Quality for DevOps team's book, TMAP Body of Knowledge, and the TMAP training courses. As accredited training providers, they have not only educated participants, but have also trained other trainers. This way, they contributed to a growing community of quality-driven professionals. Today, Gitte and Rik will talk about the importance of business value implemented using the voice model, how job roles change when moving from testing to quality engineering, and why structured test design still matters and may even become more important. So, without further ado, let us extend a warm virtual welcome to Gitte and Rik.
Thank you very much. So, welcome everybody. Right, I'm talking a bit.
Thank you very much, Valida, and welcome everyone.
So we might have a small challenge with Rik's connection in Sweden.
Yeah, I'm very sorry about it.
We will turn our cameras up in the hope to get a little bit more bandwidth. Let's see. So the purpose of today's presentation is, so first of all, sorry about messy
Welcome
start.
everybody.
You go ahead, Rik.
I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. Well, I hope you all can hear me. Good morning, everybody, and I'm happy that you're here. We would really like to tell you a lot about quality engineering and why it requires a mind shift. So let's first introduce ourselves. My name is Rik Marsalis. I'm a principal quality consultant at Society. And on the next slide, you will see the picture of the kickoff meeting of TMAP, which is a couple of you now. And well, as you can see, a lot of people here who were involved in creating the latest book, Quality for DevOps teams. And like that, my name is Rik Marsalis, and I will present together with Gitte today. So Gitte, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Gitte Ottersen. I come from Denmark, from a small company called Key to Quality. I'm a test manager, agile quality coach, and also an accredited trainer in TMAP, amongst others. So let's get started. We have a lot to talk about today. We're going to bring you through the voice model, talking about value, followed by a discussion around the cross-functional teams in high-performance IT delivery. I will bring the test design techniques to the Agile table, and finally, Rik will be discussing confidence monitoring and indicators. So I hope you are ready, and please take notes, write any questions down that you might have in the comments so that we can have a good discussion at the end of the presentation. So the very first principle of Agile is that our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. So everything we do as an Agile team has to support that principle. That's what we're here for. So for us to understand what that is and how to figure out whether we're actually delivering that, we'd like to introduce you to the voice model. Because we need to understand what it is our business need, not so much in terms of list of features and functionalities, but in the beginning, just to understand what the business value is that they pursue with the solution we are building for them. Whatever you're developing, it's meant to add value to someone somewhere. And that value should be defined and visible to you. So, and when I say you, I mean the Agile team. So that's the first place we start. We need to take that discussion. What is the pursued value that the business is looking for? When we have that, with that knowledge, we can translate those goals and those values into something that's quantifiable objectives in order to properly understand the purpose of the system that we are building. And we need somehow to measure whether we are fulfilling those objectives and therefore whether the pursued value will be achieved. This is done by identifying specific indicators that we can measure. And the primary way to measure those is to perform testing of the solution. With the output of testing, the measurements of these indicators, we can supply information to our stakeholders so that they can gain confidence whether the solution will give them the pursued value. But no matter how many indicators we have, the final place to figure out whether the system actually adds the pursued value is by gaining experience, by using the system in practice. So when we go into production with something new for the business, we need to reflect together with them whether they got what they expected, whether they actually got the pursued value. When we take that discussion, when we have that reflection together with them, we might find out that there are further areas that need improvement. Something that wasn't built in the first time, some new needs or requirements that they have, and that will in turn give us a feedback loop, a value improvement loop, so that we start all over with the discussion. So what is the value that we are going to achieve? So the main purpose of the voice model is to understand what is the scope of the business value. What are we pursuing? Making those goals and values quantifiable. Identifying indicators so that we can actually measure. Did we deliver? Are we delivering what they're needing? Giving our business confidence that when they hit the button and send something in production, they will actually get what they asked for. And the thing is, this is not something that some manager in some faraway office will be doing. That's something you do as a team. Because the thing is, with Agile, is that we have a joint responsibility for delivering quality. And I think Rik would like to tell you a little bit about that. Hopefully.
Hi, I hope you can hear me now.
Yes.
So we would like taking joint responsibility as a team. And that all starts. So what actually is quality engineering? Can you show the slide? And then quality engineering is about team members and their stakeholders taking joint responsibility. So this is the first very important, and take responsibility for continuously delivering IT systems with the right quality at the right moment to the business people and their customers. And I often see definitions where it says the highest quality. We just need the right quality at the right moment. So that's the focus of the team and the people around them. And you do quality engineering by applying quality measures. So that's doing all kinds of activities that help to assure the right level of quality for IT systems. Now, taking joint responsibility requires cross-functional teams. And cross-functional teams is the backbone of what we call high-performance IT delivery, like you see in Scrum teams, DevOps teams, etc. And high-performance IT delivery is defined as an approach that enables cross-functional teams to continuously improve not only the products that we deliver, like the IT systems, but also the processes, so the IT delivery process, and improve the people. Because if you want to have the right quality for your products, you also need the role to deliver the business value that the end users pursue. And a cross-functional team is about multiple people working together, executing the various tasks that are needed. So in a cross-functional team, generally you have different roles, like a business analyst, a developer, a tester, and an operations person. But it is not that people have the same role within the team, because during they will pick up different roles at different points in time. And also people join forces and work together on tasks. So things like pair programming and pair testing are something definitely done in a cross-functional team. And therefore we also have this very nice saying that team means achieves more. And with these cross-functional teams, you need to apply different kinds of capabilities, and one of them is test design. So let's go back to Gitte and talk about test design.
If you think about our role as testers in an agile team, traditionally where we see ourselves is from the sprint planning, we will be helping the team with clarifying the user stories. We will have the discussions with the product owners around acceptance criteria. We will continuously test the user stories as they are being developed. We will ensure regression testing. We will give feedback to the developers around the solution, and we'll have a lot of dialogue in the sprint. But what if we could go a step further to the left? What if we, with our skill set, could support not only the team during the implementation of the solution, but also POs and business analysts and the business in clarifying what it really is the business needs. If you think about it, we have a lot of skills in our toolbox that could help the team in understanding the needs of the business. Just think about it. We have so many different test design techniques. And traditionally, we've had a tendency to think of these as something we use when we analyze and design our test cases. We use them when we're doing our exploratory testing, but it's sort of a part of our toolbox. But what if we take a step back and think about it as, you could call them modeling techniques, you could call them requirement clarification techniques, whatever. The main thing is, what if we share this skill set with our team so that we can help us understand the needs of the business? Because the test design techniques, they can be used for so much that more than just designing tests. Let me give you a couple of examples. When you are discussing the validation rules with your team or with the PO about in a user story, we are designing a new dialogue with a lot of fields in, we're discussing the validation rules. We use equivalence partitioning and boundary value analysis here all the time. But just drawing that, when we hear the dialogue about the rules, drawing it like this, showing us this is how we understand the rules that you're describing, often flushes out misunderstandings. Where do the rules change? And I mean, this is the most basic of all the test design techniques, but it's something that we do implicitly all the time. But using it explicitly and visualized like this actually helps with the dialogue. Or what about workflows? Currently I'm at a D365, Dynamics 365 context, so we have around 130 different business processes that are supported in the system. Each of these needs to be defined and documented. This is also due to the fact that I'm working in a pharma context, but we actually see a lot of value in the process of documenting them. So if you go up to the whiteboard with a bunch of Post-its, you have the one color for the activities and decisions, one color for important points, one color for questions. So then start drawing it together. Questions and concerns, note them down as they are expressed so that you flush out any insecurities around the workflow or the business process. What is important for the business in this workflow? What data is necessary here? Are you sure there's only these two decisions in this workflow? I see there's a decision that we only have one way out of it. Where does the other one go? We flush out these things that would lead into bugs eventually in the process of drawing the process diagram. And also this gives us an amazing chance to understand the business much better as a team, understanding how they work and thereby implementing the best possible solution for them. And then of course, afterwards, what we do is we start looking at, so how can we then test this the most efficient way? But that's another thing. That's how we use them when we start designing the tests. Or what about business rules? Very often when I meet business rules, they're documented in a Word document, page after page, a lot of words. And often they're difficult to understand and even more so difficult to get an overview. Why not use a test design technique to illustrate the rules instead? Why not use decision tables? Actually, decision tables are also a part of the training that you can get as a business analyst. It's 90 degrees, it's turned a bit around, but the principle is the same. The thing is, it's a great way of flushing out business rules and getting an understanding. It takes a bit to get used to using them, but when you get there, they will be a lot of help for you. If you take the dialogue with the business in 2 steps, start with getting an agreement. What are the inputs? Then you can fill in the top part. What are the different inputs that we will need for this business rule? What are the variations in values that they have? When we have that, we can start discussing the output. So how should the rule work in the different variations? Now you can take that dialogue. So each column is one variation and eventually one test case. But this I've tried to do in several occasions where it turned out that we actually found issues with the described business rules, but they were just difficult to flush out when there were pages and pages of Word document. But as soon as we got them into a decision table, they were obvious. So that again helps us building it right, because we get the foundation for what we are developing the right way. And I mean, that was just a couple of examples. We have so many different test design techniques that we could use, being focused on process or conditions or data or appearance. Some are coverage-based, but also, of course, our experience-based testing is also something that we can use, the mindset of experience-based testing. So test design techniques are extremely good at defining the foundation. So think about this. Why don't you take some of these techniques and bring them to your team? Introduce them to your team to support the work when you deliver value to your customer. And the value thing is, we need, can you remember the voice model? We needed to create or to measure indicators so that we could give these measurements to someone who could gain confidence. That could be a whole bunch of numbers, but it could also be a confidence monitor. And over to you, Rik, to give an introduction to the confidence monitor.
Yes, thanks, Gitte. So when we have design techniques to create test cases and we start running these test cases, then we use that to measure the value, because in the end, we want to know about the business value. And the stakeholders need to have confidence that they will actually get their pursued business value. So that's why we use a confidence monitor. Now, in the center of the DevOps infinity loop, we find monitor as a activity, one of the fundamental DevOps activities, which is to keep an eye on whether things on the development side and the dev side of DevOps and on the operations side, so that's the ops side of DevOps, if everything is going well. And based on that monitoring information, you will get confidence getting your pursued business value. Now, to demonstrate that, we have developed this monitor. And on the next slide, we will see that the confidence monitor is based on the indicators measured by the testing, as we saw earlier. And the main goal of testing is supplying information, but often a lot of detailed information. And for stakeholders, such as, for example, a product owner, it is very difficult to interpret all these different pieces of information. So that's why we use a confidence monitor based on tooling to get all this information together and show one confidence number, you might say. And on the next slide, we go a little bit more in depth in what a confidence monitor looks like, because you see two lines, and the one line is the planned confidence. So that is the confidence that we expect that we will have at a certain moment in time. So for example, on this picture, you will see that, let's say somewhere in week 6, we expected to have the level of 6. So the confidence, we generally express it in 9, where 6 is good enough. So if we meet confidence level 6 is good enough to go live, and anything beyond that even makes it better. And in this confidence monitor graph, you also see that we have the actual, and it looks like we're lagging behind a bit. Now, in this way, a confidence monitor gives a very quick insight in whether we do have enough confidence to reach our pursued business value. Now, of course, you may wonder, how would this work in reality? Because I can assure you, in the beginning, the first time you show the confidence monitor, the people involved will have dozens of questions about what it actually means and how you get to these numbers. But after you have explained that, they understand and they know it really helps well. And what we see now is a real life example that we had in a project where we had to replace an old system by a new system. So the lines that you see starting on the top on the left, they are the old system, and the old system was just barely good enough working. So we really needed the new system. And then you can see that we had forecasted the confidence in the new system. And well, you can see that gradually the confidence in the new system grew. Confidence in the old system got less and less, but luckily the old system kept up longer than we expected. So we were safe in actually implementing the new system. But having this simple graph was very easy for the discussions with the primary stakeholders, because people in the team, of course, need much more detail, but owners and business managers and program managers and all of such, they are very happy to have quick insight in what is the current status, and also they will never be surprised anymore by reporting from the testing. So I think a confidence monitor really is a good thing in quality engineering and in working together with teams, but also with all the people around the team. So with that, let's have a look at the last bit, which is conclusion and wrap up. And then we'll get to the questions. Back to you, Gitte.
Yeah. So we've been around a number of things, but if you want a value-driven approach to software development, a really good place to start is to agree on what value is. With your business, you need the dialogue. You and the team need the dialogue with your business to get that common understanding of what is the value that we're pursuing. That value is much more than just a list of features. We talk a lot about quality, but I like Jerry Weinberg's definition that quality is value to some person, because that is what quality is. That's value. So we need to understand what that value is. That's step one in doing really good value-driven software development. Then comes under the understanding that quality is not something we test in. First of all, we can't, but that's a whole nother discussion. But the thing is, quality is a whole team responsibility. We need to take quality from the beginning, from scratch, from defining the business needs, from defining features, acceptance criteria, user stories, and so forth. We need to have that focus on quality all the way through the life cycle in terms of doing pairing, doing review, doing static code analysis, doing really good testing. That's something we need to do as a team. We need to support the team in understanding what the business needs are. We can help with that because often as testers, we tend to take a step back and have more of a, you could say, holistic view on the solution that we are making, but at least we have a whole system perspective and can support our team in mapping the IT talk that we're doing to the needs of the business, supporting the bridge building between the two. And then we need to figure out how to follow up on value. We need to find out how do we then measure that we have achieved the value that they're pursuing. We need to find the objectives. We need to define the identifiers. And then last but not least, finding a good way to communicating around these. For example, with the confidence measure that Rik just showed you. Because one thing is that we have a lot of metrics and identifiers that's giving us a lot of numbers. But as Rik mentioned, that is not necessarily the language that we can talk with our business in. We need to make it understandable from their point of view. So we need to address it in terms of value. And then last but not least, it's extremely important that we remember that value actually changes over time. Value is not static. You can't take that discussion once and then you for good and ever know what value is for your business. That's why I like the extension that Michael Bolton and James Bach made to their Jerry Weinberg's definition. So quality is value to some person at some time who matters. So understand who your business is, who are your stakeholders. Have the discussion with them about what the value is and understand that it changes over time. That will help you have a true value-driven approach to deliver the solution to your business. And back to you, Rik.
Well, if you would like to know more about TMAP, of course, we have the body of knowledge, shows you a lot of information. Almost everything that is in the TMAP book is on the website more. Also, there are a lot of downloads possible. For example, the templates that you can use and a lot of background information and information on specific things around testing. And templates are in multiple languages. And if you like, we can also extend it with other languages. We are continuously working on improving the TMAP body of knowledge and trying to include all kinds of input from about TMAP in the TMAP application scheme with a number of training courses. And actually, this is the week in which we have introduced the new TMAP quality engineering for SAP certification, which is brand new. And of course, we also have the 3 TMAP training courses for IT delivery teams. That are the TMAP quality for cross-functional teams, the TMAP high performance quality engineering, which dives deeper and is especially about engineering subjects. And we have the TMAP organizing built-in quality at scale. That is how to organize quality engineering across multiple teams in larger organizations. And I'm not sure if we should. You're now on the slide for the. So here you see the 4 training courses in the TMAP certification screen. And there are and people all across the world are already certified in the new TMAP scheme, as we can see on the next slide, where we can see that we have people in more than 20 countries certified in TMAP. So if you would like to know more, just go to www.tmap.net or www.tmapcert.com, which is all about the certifications.
So that was that.
And that brings us to the last part. So back to you, Gitte.
Yeah, that was it. And that was that. So we are ready to hear if you have any questions.
Thank you, Gitte. Thank you, Rik, very much. Well, in spite of the rocky start, we managed. I'm absolutely positive that we managed to create an environment of sharing and learning. Thank you for that, and thank you to everyone who joined us today. There are some questions, and I will start the first one. How do I get started with a voice model? It's a question of one of our participants.
I think a good way to get started is to do it informally, just not presenting a whole model to the business as a beginning, but and starting with an informal talk with your primary stakeholders around why is it that we are actually why do we want to build this system? What is it we want to build? And continuously in that discussion focusing on the why. Because very often in those kind of discussions, we very fast moves into the what and the how. So we want this the features, and it should work like this and this. But starting with a small discussion, for example, if you are in a safe environment, still that's your framework, you have a PI, so we have a product increment, so we have a planning session. Maybe we could talk about in the initial presentation in that planning session, try to together with the PO to present the why, to put some bullets up on why is it that we are actually, what's the purpose. So I think that the why is the place to start. In terms of getting it measurable, there's a method called goal question metrics where you can flush out the right indicators by asking questions, and that would be, I think that's the most difficult part in the voice model, is going from maybe rather fluffy values to something that is measurable. So going from the values to the objectives and the indicators. And there the goal question metric can help you, but also in the TMAP body of knowledge, there are really good inputs to what to pick and how to get started.
Thank you, Gitte. There is another question. what is the difference between cross-functional and multidisciplinary teams?
And I think I will let you to explain that, Rik, if you are there still. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
The difference between cross-functional, yeah, can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah.
So the difference between cross-functional teams and multidisciplinary team, you have multiple people in your team, but everybody remains on their own island. Develops software, is concerned with programming, but doesn't do any testing tasks. The operations person only worries about operations tasks. And in a cross-functional team, everybody joins forces, all the tasks, and that means they also have to pick core competence. But since everybody in a cross-functional team is interested in the things that are happening in other tasks and are able to pick up tasks that may not be their core competence, but if it's not too complex, people can do much more than they often think. So multidisciplinary team is people on their island, and cross-functional team responsibility for the quality of the end product. So that's what I think is the difference.
Yeah, and I think that actually flushes out some of the maybe fears that we had in the beginning. At least I remember from the beginning when we started working in agile teams, that how could we as testers give value that were broader than, in brackets, just testing. But the thing is that a lot of what we can do can add values in other things than testing, as for example, supporting flushing out requirements, or doing, for some of those testers that are more technical, doing code reviews. Maybe you're the Scrum Master. There are many different ways of supporting your team so that we don't get silos again in the teams, and that would be the multidisciplinary teams. So always looking at how can I add value to my team in the broadest possible sense. That is essential.
Thank you, Gitte. Thank you, Rik. That answered the questions. Since we do not have further questions and almost out of time, I just wanted to thank to Rik that he mentioned that there is a fourth module of TMAP. And for all of those who are interested to know more about quality engineering and testing for SAP, tonight at 21, there will be a session with Rik and Batin, and just use this opportunity to learn more about this. Well, I want once again to thank you for this. Once again, sorry for the rocky start. Please don't mind our technical issues at the beginning, and vote for Rik and Gitte as your favorite speakers on A4Q website. Thank you once again. So final words from you.
Well, thank you very much for listening in. I hope you got some value out of it.
And from Rik, if possible, but he's frozen again. Rik, can you hear us?
I will get out of the camera again, hoping that he can.
Right.
Nope. We are all good.
Well, Rik, can you hear us? Then, once again, thank you very much for the contribution, and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.